So, so let's just restart and I'll come to your question because I think that's others might have it too. To restart, I'll again go back to what I said in the beginning, which is we have sort of crystallized our LifeSmart delivery into three things, which is the video channel Ananth's Adventures, supporting the Ramana Bala Kendra, and third is, helping parents craft their own experiences based on all this. So regardless of whatever else you're doing, I think these two things, the video channel and the Bala Kendra, can give you a lot of insights into creating the right kinds of experiences. So we're just waiting for Shinjita to join. I don't know what happened to Vijay Lakshmi. So while we're waiting for Shinjita to join, she said she's joining. I had a question about the Bala Kendra experience. Let's start talking about that. So Manju, if you wanted to share, and Lavanya wants to share about what's going on your end. And basically, I want to know a little bit about what you do beyond the class. How does she carry on and practice or use whatever she's learning there? Manju?
Oh, sorry. She was talking in the middle, so I did not come through that you're talking.
Yeah, so just curious about your.
I told. Sorry, I actually. Can we hear from Lavanya about Balakem?
Okay.
How she's liking Balakem and what all?
You tell us about it.
I'm learning Ujwalana's stories and shlokas like Angi Kambu and all. And it's fun. And I'm also learning stories of Ramana Tata from Umma Auntie as well as Ujwalana.
Okay.
What else you can think of?
I'm learning dance from them.
Okay.
And I'm learning shlokas from them. I'm learning almost whatever is needed in the Natya Shastra from them. It is very interesting to learn.
So what's your favorite thing? What do you like to learn the most? The stories,
I
the
like
shlokas?
the stories, I like the dances, and I like most probably the stories and the dance. The stories. So I love to listen to stories. And I love to hear their speech, words, and I love to check what all the other students are doing.
So do you practice anything after the class?
No. Most probably
Actually, the schedule is so tight. Don't ask. I mean, she's going to 2 dance classes now because she's not. One is offline, one is online. So we are finding it very difficult to leave the class because both the teachers are her favorite, and she doesn't want to leave any class. But most of the evenings are going in attending classes, and in the mornings we are doing a lot of housework. I mean, together, and afternoons goes in academics. So it is like we cannot think beyond the class. That is the problem now. Like, what to say? I mean, I don't know if I'm overdoing it. I really don't know.
And also in the evenings after dance class, I also sometimes play with my friends, dog friends, human friends, budgie friends.
So you have an ashram like Ramana Tata's ashram, huh? Lots of animals.
Nope. Most probably only animals. I have only 2 animals now. Ramana Tata's even cows and calves that I don't have due to I'm in an apartment.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, you'll have a
we
cow also, huh?
Pakka. That is our plan, to shift to some place where we can even take care of cows and calves. Huh? That is our future plan.
Yes.
She has a plan to open animal NGO actually.
Oh,
Yes.
does she? Okay.
Yes.
Well,
For
Ananth
cows.
asks me, is she going to do
Dogs
something
and
with the environment? I said, I don't know, I'll ask her.
What? Sorry?
Ananth asks, is she going to do some work with the environment? Because he knows she's always talking about
Even
that.
that, yeah, even that we are already doing it actually. We are making bioenzymes at home.
Yeah.
So we have replaced all the bottles, I mean chemicals and cleaners, everything, even washing liquids, washing clothes, washing utensils, everything is replaced by bioenzyme now. So we are moving towards that together actually. So she has decided that she is not going to travel in aeroplane also because that is also polluting environment. So we have made lot of like small to big changes we are bringing actually. So it is happening on the process.
And I also plan to plant some flowers for the bees. But
Wow.
actually, I'm scared of their sting. So I don't know if I can go. So, and
ಸರಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ಗೂ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡೇನು ಪೇಸರ್ದ್ಗೆ ಸರಿ
So, Shinjita, Bindu, any thoughts or any, what you're doing now or any other thoughts?
Yes, ma'am. So, like I was telling you, I think for us the biggest challenge is getting the motor planning in place. So sometimes my son tries to imitate, but it is not exact. I mean, it is very approximate, and he might go do the leg when I ask him to do the hand or something like that. So, and he still likes all those movement songs that come on TV, the animated ones. So he sometimes finds the Bala Kendra songs a little bit difficult because even the words are new. So he is more action songs he likes more. So we are still working around that a little bit. So where it is specific, right? Some action songs make it very specific. Move your right hand, move your left hand,
Yes.
raise your left hand. So it's more like directions. So that he finds a little more easy to do. So here it is just you have to imitate exactly what Sir shows. So there it becomes like for him, should I focus on the words or on the movement? So there he gets confused.
So, good points. I think other people have brought up the language and other issues too. But again, the first thing I would say is, to me, the Bala Kendra is an experience that gives you a lot of ideas. You may or may not do that specific song or that particular piece, though I think those specific pieces and songs and stories also have a purpose, because everything in the Bala Kendra has it's, when you think about the outcomes of TAHD, and I had a video on theatre arts for holistic development outcomes. One of the beautiful things about the experience that Ananth had, Ananth is not in Bala Kendra, but even Bharatanatyam, it's a similar ingredients, right? Because whatever they teach, they put in the same ingredients, right? So even in his dance class, it is the same stories and music and all that's coming. But it really addressed so many things holistically. So I just want to talk about that for a few minutes, because I think that's where I see the power of theater. Because usually you're looking for, oh, I have this objective, I have to address that, I have that objective, I have to address that. But once you go into a theater experience, you're addressing so many goals at the same time, right? So when he's hearing, if you think back to the first video that led to the Ananth's Adventures channel, when he narrated the White Peacock story, right? So it was a very simple story. So one of the things that really appealed to me about the Ramana stories were they're very simple, right? They typically don't have, like when you do Ramayana and things like that, there's usually a lot more characters. It's much more complex. So here the stories were simple. He had the hand gestures with it. He had the music with it. And then it was just a little bit easier for him. I found that he was able to follow well. And when all those components are there, you're also not sure which thing will click for them when. So suddenly in the second class with Ujjwal, he started singing, which I was really surprised by, because he will not sing. He's played the piano for 10 years, but he'll never sing because of the motor problems, right? But here, right in the second class, all of a sudden he's trying to imitate. So when you have a theater experience, I think it's very holistic and there are a lot of elements to it. And then again, going back to the constraints idea. So all that's happening is Ujjwal is demonstrating something. The key expectation is Ananth's going to imitate, right? He doesn't tell him not to sing. He doesn't tell him you sing, right? So a lot of times he's just copying the motor movements because he's more of a dancer than a singer, right? I'm sure some of the other kids like the singing and they're maybe singing more than they are dancing. So Anila says that her sons will, like to imitate the music, but at least the older one will not want to use his body. So I think they're all going to enter from different places, but hopefully we can nudge them away from, he only likes to do this. Okay, he only likes to dance, but now he's also trying to sing. And I think we make a lot of those discoveries. So I think that's one of the things that's very powerful about TAHD. And I got very interested in Rasa because of my experience with Waldorf and Enki, because I'd already seen that, you can use the arts as a basis for teaching anything, right? And so that's what I'm hoping the Bala Kendra will do. It is only one experience, it's 1 hour a day, and it's a group experience. But I think it can plant a seed because you can see how all these ingredients can come together in the education of your child. So that's the way I'm viewing the Bala Kendra, and that's why I'm trying to work with Ujjwal and with RMCL on making this happen. Because I feel like just that one experience, and sometimes people, because for me it was very obvious because I'd been on the Enki and Waldorf path for many years, right? But for other people, when they hear something like theater arts for holistic development, they might say, oh, is it a drama class? They're not really thinking of it as a way you can educate your child. That may not be obvious to everyone. So that's why I felt like when you have an experience like the Bala Kendra, it's going to put that thought in more people's minds as to how they can leverage the arts and the 5 tools of theater for learning anything. And it can be any songs you want, it can be any curriculum you want. It really doesn't matter, because once you have the idea, I think you're going to, I know Shinjita, you use a variety of different stories, right? But you're also trying to use some of the Bala Kendra ones. So you want to comment on that?
Yeah. In fact, when you started talking about TAHD, at that time I was enrolled in the RDI training also, and I noticed that whatever is covered in RDI is, you are just doing all of those things together in one song. I don't have to frame, too many activities or too many frameworks to achieve a certain goal. I can just frame all those things in one song.
Yes.
Right. So that was really very beautiful.
Yes. and that's what it is, because when you do get into the theater, so many things get addressed organically. And that's why I was making the difference between having an analytical framework like RDI and trying to apply it versus having an immersive experience and maybe using some of the, for example, I'm talking about constraints now, or I'm talking about perception action, using that afterwards to think about the experience. I think that works better, because we had one therapist many years ago who was RDI trained and he had moved away. And that's really where I got the family immersion idea from. And he was excellent. And he would really not put too many terms on the parent's head, because he said parenting is far more intuitive. And when you break it down into thousands of goals, and it changes the way you interact, right? So he was much more into immersion. Okay, you want to go to a store play, let's go to a store. You want to go to to a museum, let's do that. You want to cook at home, let's do that. And he would just join you in the experience and then explain what was happening and use the concepts after the experience. So I think the Bala Kendra does the same thing. And I think Ujjwal has a same, I actually see a lot of similarity between that therapist and the way Ujjwal coaches. I've always noticed some, similarities there. But I think when he just does the coaching, and then I'm there to put all the words, I know more words than than I need to. And then the words are helpful. So that's actually why I called him and said, Ujjwal, I think we need to really talk about this constraints-led approach and some of these other things, because I think it will help people make better use of what we are doing. So that is a shift also I want to make with the immersion, that, I feel that immersion, just getting the experience, not just for the child, but for the parent, getting that experience first and then trying to understand what's happening is probably a path to explore as well. And so you see that happen with the theater experiences. And Bindu, one other comment that I had, I know that some of the, especially the theater experiences in Rasa are all in Tamil, right? So I had shared one scene from Panchavati, which I've shared before. And there, you don't have to know the language. There was a specific reason I shared that particular scene, because I wanted you to see, when you normally have a song, right? So you have all these different songs that we've been sharing, versus you go see the Panchavati scene and you will see when we are talking about the different constraints, it's so much more challenging because so Ram, Lakshman, Sita, all of them are on the scene, right? And on top of it, what they end up doing is they, on the last rehearsal, they bring in all these little children from the schools. And so these children are running in and out, and then they're trying to do the dance and not, stumble on the kids or do something like that. So it's a pretty interesting scene to watch, that now you have to do it on the stage with all these little children going in and out. And so the demands are, I think, a little bit higher than, what's there in movement and dance. So that's what I was wanting to get at. I see that Ujjwal has just joined. I don't know if he can. Ujjwal, are you able to talk? I'm not sure whether he can.
No, I'm actually traveling. Yeah, I'm just listening. I just joined right now, so I didn't know what's happening. So I'll listen to what is.
Okay, maybe you can watch the first part also, and then I can record your comments later on then. So when you think about the tools, I think that's something to consider. But the way they teach drama and rasa is also the same imitation model. So they will have all the students there and they do the same imitation that they're doing for movement and so on. And it's a little tricky because Ananth always gets confused because they're trying to coach multiple people at the same time and telling this one to do one thing and that one to do another thing. And so to even track what your role is and which actions you're supposed to be imitating, right? And I think drama raises it to a different level. So again, you don't have to do the same drama, but what I found fascinating about Rasa's drama experience was that they don't actually speak, right? It's all, they have to listen to music and they have to enact, right? So it's more of just miming to music. And it's more challenging in a way because you have to be, when specific dialogues are being spoken, or you have to keep up with that, right? So again, all of these, when I share a video, even if it's in Tamil, because there are 3 plays that Ananth participated in, so I may share scenes from all 3. Swami Vivekananda is in English, so that's not a problem. If I share something from, the reason I like to share the Panchavati scene is just because we see a lot of the music, the dance ones, and here it's that added challenge of, all the props and extra people and trying to coordinate with everyone. And then the 3rd play did have subtitles, the Krishna one. So I may share scenes from the plays, just watch them. It doesn't really matter if you don't know the language. I know that not everyone knows Tamil. So I'm just sharing it for a particular reason, to see certain things. So Ujjwal, since you just joined, let me recap a little bit. I was mentioning that we are on to what I call the ABCs of delivering what we are doing. A being the Ananth's Adventures YouTube channel, B being the Bala Kendra, and C is then create your own experience. So that is sort of how everything is coming together for us. So we've been talking about some of the videos, and we've been talking about imitation, and some of the parents have also been sharing what they have tried and what they're doing. So I'll share the first part of the the video recording with you later today or tomorrow. So again, going back, Dr. Vijay, I think you had a couple of comments at the end of the first part that I wanted to speak to, which is that you can't really follow the 100 days as I'm going through it. And that's exactly right. In some sense, the 100 days is more for me and Ujjwal and Ananth, because we are sticking to this consistent delivery of a small piece every day. So we are sharing a little video clip, some ideas for what to do, but then we realize that everybody may not be keeping up with what we're doing as we are going through it. So that's the reason why the website is there. And maybe I'll do a screen share and just briefly show the website if I have it there. So I just wanted to briefly show the website so you know how to better utilize it. So we have a section for each week. You'll see that you can access the playlist for that week from here. So all the videos for this week, I have the current week at the top. So whatever you need for this week, all the videos are here. Then you have the videos for week 1, 2, and 3. And you can see all Morpheus artwork there. This section is also important to look at. If you look here, I think one of the key documents for you is this the Google Sheet. Okay, so if you go to the Google Sheet, you can actually see all the playlists that we have been sharing, as well as the daily shares. So I have compiled all the daily shares in a Google Doc, and from this Excel sheet, from this Google Sheet, you can access everything we are sharing. So it doesn't really matter if you're not able to follow daily. I think your core document will be this Google Sheet. That I'm still working on it, but you'll already see quite a bit of information over there. So the Google Sheet is here, and the Google Doc is over here also. So I don't know, Dr. Vijay, if that answers that question a little bit about the not really staying
Yes,
with the
ma'am.
100
Thanks
days.
for the clarity. Yes.
So that's what we're hoping. So you can take 300 days or 2 years. It doesn't really matter. So one other thought I do have, that as you follow, my suggestion is to follow our activities, especially now that we're going to become more precise about the video analysis. It will be helpful if you follow it in a sequence. So you may not implement everything right away, but for example, I may share a scene from a drama Ananth was in, or a little. I talked about this Ganesha Stuti performance that he did. But again, I'm not just sharing the performance, I'm sharing some other things that you can scale it down and address it at your own level. So for example, you may have, how we did the practice by just narrowing down the tasks to only facial expressions and hand gestures, and how we, he practiced it with Ujjwal, and then how I also practiced with him. So we are showing some techniques and some ways of doing things. So even if it's at the level that Ananth is at right now, you can scale those ideas and use it at whatever level works for you. Okay. So we have only 10 minutes. So are there any other questions? I know Vijay had one question, and let me answer that, and then I see another question. So Vijay, the question about MNRI, that's Maskitova Neurosensory Motor Reflex Integration. I think now Play Street is probably also doing reflex integration, and there are others probably. So MNRI, I don't think is available much in India, but I think there are other people doing that. Has anyone done anything with the Play Street on reflex integration or anywhere else? Shinjita, Manju?
Yes, actually, I would suggest the extra lessons, the curative education by Waldorf, anthroposophy. So there are people who are doing that. For example, Shinjita and me, we both are following Dr. Shushmita Reddy. Okay, so she is giving us exercises based on extra lessons and curative education. So that is something related to movement completely. So that is a good option actually, if someone wants to go for. And I have actually sent many parents to her. So she is like a person who you can really, rely on. and she will really guide you very well in the part of movement, especially. So that is one thing. And another thing, you have guided us about Bharatanatyam. Sure, because of Ananth's that video. After seeing that video, I thought about Bharatanatyam. Otherwise, I was not even thinking. So we have reached Metadavu now. So Lavanya has
Metadavu,
reached
okay.
Metadavu. Yeah, but I wanted to ask a question over here. Metadavu is like brain gym. Okay. So she's struggling like hell actually. And she's crying and she's saying, I don't want to do Bharatanatyam. Kind of, she went to that level. So I discussed with her teacher. I told her that it is very difficult. So we have to slow down here. Because until now it was going well. But now we are really slowing down and we are not forcing her. We are letting her learn in her time, in her phase. Because this is something like it a realization for me as well that yeah, we have to work more on that area. So that opposite, I mean, the way she danced until now, we have to do opposite of that in Metadu. Are you aware of it? Yeah.
Actually, Ananth was okay. I mean, it took him his own time to do it, and he had a very little stamina. So every 2 minutes he was wanting water and all those things. But he had done many MNRI camps, so I think he was in a somewhat better shape and he'd also done more than a year of hip hop and tap before he went to Bharatanatyam. So I think he came to Bharatanatyam a little bit later. But I think for people beginning, and Ujjwal and I had actually been talking about it because a TAHD version of Bharatanatyam, I think might be better
so how to
suited
go
for our
for
kids.
that?
So
how?
Now that we've taken the first step and the Bala Kendra is on, we'll see if we can also find a way to. So
I
Ujjwal,
was
maybe
actually
you can
wanted to
speak
ask
to
you
that
that
later.
as well. Yeah. I wanted to ask you that as well, that if you mentioned about dance, so if I want to go for dance through Rasa, then it will be more.
Actually, you can talk to Rasa. I think Rasa may already be doing one Bharatanatyam class, but I don't know whether they have actually they may have an online class. I think Dr. Vaishnavi sent me a message, so they may actually have it.
Because I know they will do it with that awareness that
yes,
you have to slow down.
Yes.
I have actually joined Lavanya and Uma madam's class, and she is like awesome. I saw the whole THD clearly in her class, literally. I mean, the way she starts with the painting, then a song related to that with dance, and I was like very amazed with the way she conducted the class. So I could see clearly after reading I mean, now as I'm doing the course, so I could see what it is leading to. And she has huge experience in THD. So she is a great example.
I think there was another question. I saw a raised hand.
Yeah.
I don't know the name. I don't see the name. Yeah.
Yeah. Nirdosh.
Hello, Nirdosh.
Hello. Ma'am, first of all, one of my question is already answered, that you may take 300 days, but you continue. So that was a big question for me. Ma'am, the other question is that like he's interested in music. He loves listening songs. He even loves playing piano. Means that synthesizer that we have got. Uh, but what happens, whether it was synthesizer or whether we were sending him to taekwondo class, he takes his time, like 15 days. He just just I have to push him for that, and after that he goes. But in this class that I was following, that after one day there is a next chapter. So that I was getting a bit frustrated. So I was not able to follow that. So now I will be following it at a slow pace because you are moving fast.
No, but what I was thinking was to just deliver it consistently for 100 days. But then that's why we're working on the website, the the Google Sheet, everything. So it's there and you can look at it at your leisure, at whenever
Yes, ma'am, I would really like to thank you for all the guidance that you provided. I've never faced you personally, so I would like to thank. Ma'am, one thing I would like to ask, that initially we were struggling a lot with jumping from one doctor to another. So someone suggested us to do for a heavy metal test. so we never went for that. So do you think as these groups have got a very experienced person? So in fact, this question is towards the whole group. Have you heard anything about that heavy metal?
I've heard, but in general, we have stayed more with experiences than, go more. We tried biomedical very briefly. It didn't, he reacted very negatively to it. So it just didn't suit him. So we just have stayed pretty much with different kinds of experiences. And then Bharatanatyam really, he turned the corner with that. And so we have mostly gone that route.
But we also going with the flow now, because we have this medicine doesn't help. But this thing was there in my mind somewhere ki we have not got him tested for heavy metals or something like that. So I was just curious.
We do go for Ayurveda, and that seems to have helped him with the gut issues. But other than that, we've really not done
other
much.
than the gut issues.
Yeah, we've just done with Ayurveda, and all the rest is, experiences like this. So I'm glad you could make it. So yeah, watch the recording of the first part also. And as I was telling Dr. Vijay also, mostly what we're trying to do is show, how guided participation can work. For example, Shinjita was talking about, in all the videos with Ujjwal and Ananth, you see how imitation is working, how there's very little direct instruction. So we talked about all that. And even if you're not actually following the videos, I think there is something in the videos with the explanations for everyone. And that's where we are headed. We are sharing a video, because if you just talk about it, people don't get it. But now we have a collection of videos, and we can...
No, my videos are very helpful.
Yes, and we can say, okay, here, watch this, here's what's happening in this video. So that's...
I think videos stays in your mind.
Yes.
That stays in your mind. While reading, you cannot process that much, but when you see it, you can imitate it.
Yes. And so, and you're right. And sometimes you may not even verbalize it, and you may see something, being done in a certain way in a video, and you sort of get it. So I think we have a few minutes left. So any final questions, thoughts? Okay. So thank you all for joining today, and thanks, Ujjwal, for stopping by. And we'll continue this discussion. So remember the ABCs. So all our, I think we've been at it for several years now, but it's getting focused into Ananth's Adventures YouTube channel and the Bala Kendra. And again, it doesn't matter whether you're enrolled or not for the Bala Kendra, because at least Ujjwal has shared a couple of these sample, videos that everyone can see. So we can still have a conversation around things like professional parent interaction, guided participation, all these, not only in the context of the specific clips that you're seeing on Ananth's Adventures, but also in a program like Bala Kendra. So the way I see it, the discussion around these, all of us can do, even if you're not really in the program itself, right? And similarly,
this Bala Kendra is in Chennai, na?
It's
Bala
online.
Kendra is in Chennai, na?
See, Ramana Maharishi Center for Learning is Bangalore, and Rasa, the other organization, that's in Chennai. But a lot of these programs are